Good Lord. So predictable, so pointless. Does she really expect us to fall for this one again? So, literally, having Harry totally out of the picture for weeks and weeks and weeks, with a private war going on because she refused to speak out publicly in support of her husband over this Bali disaster.
Just when you thought the Sussex brand couldn't get more calculated, Meghan Markle is once again under fire, this time for what critics are calling a cynical PR stunt.
Just as everyone's waking up to what's really going on, just as with Love Meghan Series 2 is about to be announced, we get this. Not a new picture. No. An old AI image of Harry apparently surfing in what is actually a large pool, with Meghan posting, "We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this important message," with an emoji of a fox. Yes, really. The Royal Grift put this surfing video side by side and actually believes that it probably has used some type of AI technology. But as Niall Gardner said, isn't the real point Prince Harry surfs while Prince William serves the British people? A massive difference in class and character. While the Royal News Network added, Meghan apparently needed to boost Harry's ego by praising a man, or as she puts it, who apparently a fox, who can apparently only surf in a giant pool that always generates the perfect wave. This is lame. Let us know if Harry can ever put on his big boy britches and make it into the ocean. But there is something going on here, and what is going on is that Harry is at rock bottom. I have zero sympathy. I have absolutely zero sympathy. I think he deserves to be where he is. But Rob Shooter, in a news scoop overnight, has reported that Prince Harry has a new title inside the Sussex household. Not Duke, not Spare, but Fox. Meghan Markle's pet name went public when she posted surfing videos of Harry with Salt and Pepper's "What a Man" blaring, captioned with a fox emoji. But insiders tell Shooter Scoop this isn't just a sweet nickname, it's therapy. An insider revealing Harry needs constant reassurance that he's attractive. He'll straight up ask Meghan, "Do you think I'm good looking?" It's a daily thing. He thrives on compliments. Meghan plays along, branding him as her rugged leading man. But friends whisper she knows Harry doesn't exactly stack up to her Hollywood crushes. In the past, Meghan admitted to swooning over Luke Perry's Dylan McKay, praising Kerry Washington's commanding presence, and even having a small crush on Dominic Cooper. Harry is many things. Soldier, royal dad, a Hollywood source said. But he's not Dylan McKay or Dominic Cooper. Meghan calls him her fox because it's a safe way to sell him as her heartthrob. The strategy has a pattern. Whenever Harry feels insecure, Meghan builds him back up, another source added. He needs to be told he's handsome, that people still see him as desirable. Without those words, he spirals. And Rob Shooter concludes Meghan isn't just married to her fox, she's managing the most high-maintenance leading man in Netflix history. But Brittany, from the Royal News Network, who joins me now, at the end of the day, she's also using this as a very, very cynical, and I would argue very transparent, publicity stunt just one day before the launch of With Love Meghan Series 2, which is not tracking well.
No, definitely not. If this was an attempt to boost her ratings for her show, it was a dismal failure. I mean, why bring up this video of Harry swimming again or surfing in a giant swimming pool? How is that supposed to help her series? I am very confused by that idea because it has nothing to do with her show at all. And I think it's just a very cynical way on her part even to boost Harry. I mean, this is, again, probably the lamest piece of surfing footage in a swimming pool that can give him the perfect wave every time somebody on a jet ski pulls him up like by the wave. So like he gets the perfect It's probably much less difficult than in the actual ocean. So this is not a brag for Harry in some ways. So you almost feel like Meghan is subtly putting him down at the same time. But I imagine Harry is very much at rock bottom. He has no life, he has no purpose, he doesn't have a connection with his family anymore. His father has cancer, his sister-in-law had cancer, nobody will talk to him. And so he doesn't like his Hollywood life either. So he's just sort of living in misery. And Meghan does the bare minimum to attempt to make him feel a bit better. But I'm sure it's just a temporary high, as the reality of life in Montecito is less than ideal.
And Brittany, this is hardly going to take away the rumors, shall we say, about just how tense things have been over the past few weeks specifically, because it's an old video, nothing new of them together.
Right. And it's just one of those videos where I'm like, what was the purpose of this? Was he feeling like, I almost get the sense Harry was feeling particularly bad that day, had some sort of setback. And Meghan was like, oh, honey, I'll make you feel better. I'll post a video on Instagram telling the world that you're a fox. I mean, it's so shallow and it's just so pointless. But of course, that is Meghan in so many ways. She does the bare minimum for him. She has asked him to give up his whole life in order to please her. And so he's just there and everything's sort of a miserable endeavor at this point. It's just he's barely treading water, I'm sure, in many ways. And getting a little high from going to a surf camp is the best he can do right now.
But Brittany, things are very troubled in the life of Prince Harry, because do you remember literally a matter of months ago, we discussed it here, he had come out and point blank denied the speculation that he was planning to make this documentary on his mother, Princess Diana, knowing full well that it went against the cast iron promise that he had made to Prince William at the last anniversary of her death, the last major anniversary of her death, the 20th anniversary, that would be it. They would let her rest in peace. And he came out and denied this and claimed that all of us that were speculating on the fact that he was using this as like the little bit of bait to try and get the first look deal with Netflix, he called us liars. And of course, what's happened now? Well, it's been confirmed. Brittany, this is happening, or at least the talks are ongoing. It was The Sun that revealed this story, Brittany. Absolutely no pushback this time from Prince Harry. Several proposals for shows were raised during renewal talks, and their royal editor, Matt Wilkinson, reports a Princess Diana documentary is on the long list of potential shows Netflix could produce with Prince Harry and Meghan as part of their first look agreement. The idea of the Duke of Sussex being involved in a programme to mark 30 years since his mother's death has been discussed as the streaming giant enters a new deal with the couple. Harry is considering a documentary to coincide with the death in 2027. An industry source said if Harry wants to do it with Netflix, then Netflix will bite his hand off. Such a documentary featuring Harry would be a ratings winner for Netflix, which has not had a hit with the Sussexes since their 2022 six-parter, Harry and Meghan. So this is all being discussed, Brittany, in a commercial sense. Nothing about why he's doing that, why he thinks this is a good idea, why he wants to break his word, his solemn promise to Prince William.
Yes, it's utterly horrific of Harry to do this, Dan. Like, it's a complete break in trust with William. And of course, Harry has broken this trust numerous times at this point. And sadly, it's just a reflection about how Harry and Meghan, I mean, they have nothing. Let's be honest. They have nothing to offer to Netflix but the royal drama. That's all they've got. And so this was their only option. I mean, I can understand why this little endeavor is the only reason Netflix re-signed them in many ways, because the offerings in the future of like a holiday special for With Love Meghan, the documentary, the short documentary, and then their Meet Me at the Lake, which is still well into, like, hasn't even barely gotten out of pre-production. I can totally understand why Netflix would be interested in the Diana history. And Harry, he's not doing this as a way to, let's say, find his mother, find reconciliation or something like that. Mariska Hargitay recently did a very good documentary about her mother, which was really fascinating and done with a lot of love and with her other siblings with it.
According to insiders and media analysts, Meghan has allegedly used Prince Harry as her personal promotional puppet in a desperate attempt to revive their latest Netflix flop. And here's the kicker. Some are calling Harry her loyal fox, always trotted out for the cameras when things go south. Let's talk about what triggered this. Meghan and Harry's new Netflix project, supposedly a groundbreaking series, has received disastrous early reactions. Critics slammed it as tone-deaf, shallow, and completely out of touch with real audiences. And what does Meghan do next? She suddenly appears all smiles, with Harry by her side. Coincidence? Not if you ask PR experts, who are calling it a last-ditch attempt to salvage the brand using royal nostalgia.
So they all participated in this documentary. William would be appalled by this. I'm sure he is incensed. And Harry is totally willing to do it. And Netflix is completely willing to capitalize and make money off Harry's stupidity here.
Yes, but what was so fascinating to me, Brittany, is that when you get to the small print, it's made clear, and this is a bit of a threat to Netflix too, that he could make the documentary or the series with another partner too. So very much sort of saying to Netflix that he wants to go ahead with this regardless. Now, Tom Sykes, who runs the brilliant Royalist Substack, has reported that friends fear William and Harry's toxic feud could drive them to make rival documentaries about Diana. He says William will have to fight back, according to sources. What do you think of that, Brittany? Because I'm not sure. I think William made this solemn vow and he will let Harry shame himself. I don't see William changing his mind and making a rival documentary.
I mean, it's difficult to say, but I can understand in this particular instance that William will want to fight back in many ways because I can see this being, as Harry called it to his own family and government, a stitch-up job. So I can see Harry going with wild theories about what happened to Diana and everything, whereas I would be so much more interested in hearing a documentary from William on this matter because I think he was probably one of the people in the world who knew his mother best and I feel like could give a very measured reflection of her life. And Harry can't do that because Diana is a saint. You know, Meghan is the reincarnation of Diana. So I feel like we'll get this very much over dramatized, over exerted piece about the sanctity of Diana in many ways and shaming the royal family for what happened to her when it was really her choice to get in the car with the drunk driver. And so I very hesitant to say whether or not there'll be another documentary made, but I could see William participating in another one if somebody decides to do one just to have a way to fight back a little bit or just make it so incredibly difficult for Harry to get any sort of material for it, whether it's pictures, audio, video, that it would make the documentary almost impossible. I could see William definitely going down the litigation route in this instance to protect the memory of his mother.
Yeah, it's interesting. A couple of theories on this. Stephanie Sidley posted, is the Princess Diana Netflix documentary a distraction from Meghan Markle's cancelled Part 2 cooking show? Is the outrage over doting on Harry's mom supposed to overshadow what we're about to hate watch on the 26th? I'm starting to think it is. How bad is Part 2 going to be? And according to Taz posted, I do not believe that anyone is shocked by this news. I think most people predicted that Harry would always stoop this low. It was just a matter of time. Prince William will be disgusted. And that is the understatement of the year, Brittany. And this is why all of the claims of royal peace talks, I think, are just delusional. Prince Harry hasn't changed at all. He's not rolling back on anything. If anything,
No,
this
and
is
this
going further to annoy William.
Oh, Oh, yes, 100%. And you got to think as well, Dan, this again is going to come from a place, the documentary would come from a place of bitterness and resentment and anger. And so it'll just very much be another hit job against the royal family, probably even against his grandmother, his father, like so many different things. This will be a very toxic piece, I think, because that is where Harry is. That's where his mindset is. And he has to lash out at everybody else because if he takes real stock of his situation and realizes that, oh no, most of this is a result of my own decisions and my wife's decisions, then Harry is the one responsible for every bad thing in his life right now. And he just can't seem to face that. So I dread whatever this documentary will come up with because I think it'll just be terrible half truths, non truths, those sorts of things, conspiracy theories. It'll just be very, very much again capitalizing off the drama in the worst way possible, and I think it'll in many ways smear the memory of his mother. Harry thinks he's saving it when he's really smearing her by using her legacy and her memory to justify himself and his actions. It's despicable, but this is who Harry is. This was always going to be the route in many ways because Harry and Meghan, again, they don't seem to have any talent between the two of them,
No.
so they have to make money some way.
And this is why I believe William's strategy is the right one and Charles's is the wrong one. The only appropriate place for Harry to stay is in exile, so he can keep on shaming himself and people will just care less and less as the decades roll on. But another thing that this couple don't have, Brittany, alongside talent, is loyalty. Shock new reporting overnight from Paula Frolic of News Nation. And we had speculated on this, but she confirms that Meghan Markle has now abandoned Tyler Perry after his sexual harassment suit. This is the reporting from Paula Frolic. Sources have told me the Atlanta-based powerhouse producer is truly, quote, bone deep hurt after Michael and Harry went radio silent since he was sued for sexual harassment in June. One source said Harry and Meghan have said nothing, not one word to him since the news came out. There have been no public proclamations or private calls, nothing. And this is the man who saved them when they fled England. There is no loyalty. They only care about themselves. Brittany, now you can say, okay, this isn't surprising in a way because look at what Meghan did to her mum. Sorry, look at what Meghan did to her dad. Look at what she did to her best friend in Jessica Mulroney. But I'm still surprised because Tyler Perry has received the support from other major Hollywood names. You know, Oprah and Gayle King were with him at that final night of the Beyonce concert after these revelations emerged. So it's quite extraordinary.
It is really interesting to consider what is going on here because I think Meghan really wants, again, to be a part of that Hollywood elite circle. And she's sort of on the periphery, but they're definitely keeping her out. And Tyler Perry, I mean, regardless of this particular lawsuit that he's facing, he is a very strong power within the industry. He makes money, he's a billionaire, and he's been very, very successful. And so to let's say subtly keep him on the outs from Harry and Meghan. I mean, that's not necessarily a smart move, especially considering the fact that this case is still obviously within the legal system. No definitive answer has been given at this point. But Harry and Meghan have a lot to thank Tyler Perry for. I mean, he put them up in his mansion. You know, they had to build an extra fence to keep the paparazzi out. All these sorts of things, lent them his private jet. But we do notice he's not lending them his private jet more recently. So you can definitely see that there's a cooling effect going on. But this is always, I feel like, what happens with people who associate with Harry and Meghan. They do it for a while, and then they're like, number one, it's not really worth the hassle with the media because then you get 10 questions about them and you really don't care. But two, at the same time, they sort of outlive their usefulness and they're people who want freebies. They want to borrow his jet. They want to, let's say, borrow a house or something like that. And so I think people in the industry do sort of get sick of their demands, I'm sure, in many ways, especially because Harry and Meghan themselves aren't making any money. And Hollywood is all about those who can make money.
Multiple commentators have pointed out a growing pattern. Whenever Meghan's public image takes a hit, Harry reappears on cue, giving interviews, attending staged events, or gushing in public. And this time is no different. After the Netflix show began tanking, Harry was suddenly front and center, glowing with praise, acting as the ever-supportive husband. But many now believe he's being used as a human shield, while Meghan maneuvers the spotlight for her own gain. PR insiders have labeled the move cynical, manipulative, and predictable. It's not about love, they say. It's about damage control. Critics accuse Meghan of strategically placing Harry in front of cameras when she needs sympathy, legitimacy, or a distraction from failure. One brutal headline even read, "Meghan plays the PR game, Harry just plays along."
Brittany, the Daily Mail are now picking up on this idea that Pamela Anderson has taken quite a swipe back at Meghan Markle after the copycat cooking show revelations. They're reporting some were convinced the Duchess of Sussex was copying the former Baywatch star's recipes and domestic idol look in the first series of With Love, Meghan, which was released just a week after Pamela's show titled Pamela's Cooking with Love. And now Pamela has launched a line of pickles via the ritzy Californian brand Flamingo Estate, which Meghan once wanted to partner with. Her first batch of Pamela pickles have just gone on sale at a staggering $38 per small jar. The pictures which accompany their release look so similar to those of the Duchess of Sussex's range, it's hard to tell the difference, with Pamela peeking coyly from a brimmed hat and carrying a colourful bouquet of flowers. The real kicker, though, is that in this case, all proceeds are going not to the foodie influencer, but to a charity, the California Wildlife Center, which is the big difference, right, Brittany?
Mhm. Yes, it's a huge difference because everything Meghan does is simply to serve herself. We don't know how much at all she's giving to charity. She has never mentioned once that anything from the proceeds of As Ever is going to any sort of charitable endeavor. And it always seems so self-serving. And so I think Pamela doing it this way is a great way because it justifies the cost. So most people would not be willing to pay $38 for a jar of pickles. But if those proceeds are going to help wildlife efforts, California wildlife efforts, they're like, hey, yeah, I will be willing to pay $38 for that. So I feel like it's a very clever PR move by Pamela and Flamingo Estates. And so I think it's a very good move on their part. And As Ever is just a mess and a disaster of a brand. Meghan is just seemingly copying everybody. She has no original idea or thought in her head. And the whole premise of As Ever is something she doesn't even probably really believe in. And so it's not a surprise that this brand is floundering and I think in many ways failing. Her wine is still for sale. Last time I checked, magically didn't sell out this time.
The
So many questions.
strategy failed. The
Doesn't work
scarcity
anymore.
strategy finally failed because there wasn't much of that wine. Let me tell you,
Yes.
there was not much of that wine. And Brittany, she's now a punchline on the American late night shows. Number one show in late night in America is hosted by Greg Gutfeld on Fox News. Watch this.
Serial pedophile in Louisiana has agreed to be castrated as part of a plea deal. He was given a choice of having it done surgically or by marrying Meghan Markle.
Oh, Brittany, what do you make of it?
Oh man, I mean it's so obvious that Harry and Meghan, or maybe even Harry, just doesn't see that everybody sees Meghan as the one just leading him around, and that he's just almost completely useless to her, that she's the man in the family and the relationship and everything, and Harry's just like the little sidekick over there who just goes to surf camp to get a little bit of a high as he goes back to the doldrums of his room in Montecito, wherever that happens to be. Anyways, so Harry is just here. There is nothing, especially this surfing video where he's literally in a giant swimming pool. There is nothing, I feel like, really manly about that in many ways. It's really, really lame. And so I feel like we just have this constant influx of Harry just being this very much this beta male. And people in the States, you know, we appreciate those who take charge and lead ahead. And Harry is definitely not that guy. So he's just become the absolute butt of basically every single joke.
Oh, I know. Now, Brittany, closer to home, Catherine debuting some lighter locks, a bit more going to your shade, it looked like, Brittany. And she's on the front page of The Sun and the Daily Express and the Daily Mirror too. The light princess The Mail Online said, looking Kate. I mean, sometimes, Brittany, it is just the angle, but she certainly is looking sun-kissed here. Certainly a couple of shades lighter.
Yes, I think so. I think either between being just out in the sun generally, her hair can naturally lighten, mine does that, or she had a bit of a change and decided to go with a different color. Either way, it's exciting to see. Obviously, we haven't seen her in about a month and a half now, like more officially. So I'm looking forward to when royal duties start up generally back in September after the kids get back to school. And so I hope they're enjoying their holiday in Scotland and their summer overall, and just glad to see her back. And I'm anxious to see if we do have a different shade, because it's always fun to get something a little different, something a bit of a refresh. And I'm sure they've had a wonderful and relaxing summer.
Brittany, it was interesting though yesterday. No Prince Andrew at the church, even though he is on holiday in Balmoral with Fergie. Lots of people wondering why. And then we got this news that Virginia Giuffre is releasing an autobiography from Beyond the Grave. Do you think those two stories were connected, or has he been banished anyway? Because you remember the last couple of years, he has been allowed to attend church with the family, and on one occasion, he even travelled in the car, remember, with Prince William.
Well, I think, in my personal opinion, nobody should be, let's say, prevented from going to church with their family. If he wants to go to church with his family, that should be 100% his right. Nobody should be barred from attending church for really any reason, even if, they are Prince Andrew, whatever he has done. I would hope he wants to go to church with his family. I think that's a wonderful thing. But this story, obviously, probably they were aware of it, and they were either they're conscientious of the cameras, or they were just, let's say, at home trying to figure out what the heck are we going to do now? Because we have Andrew Lowney's book that just came out that revealed a lot of his wheeling and dealing behind the scenes when he was a special envoy, and all the troubles there in many ways, how he maybe made money when he shouldn't have, and those sorts of things. And now we have this Virginia Giuffre book after her death, and what that will reveal. And the challenge Andrew has is that she can make a lot of accusations, but he can never, let's say, really fight against them, because now tragically she has passed away. So in that instance, Andrew has a real challenge here because he can't face his accuser in some ways. And so it is a challenging aspect for them to deal with, but they've had a lot of obviously bad news these last couple of weeks the Yorks have had. So not a surprise maybe that they just want to lay low.
Yeah, I don't know, Brittany. I don't think it was their choice, because I think they know that their salvation is when they get any type of proximity to the family, and they have always taken those opportunities. So to me, this feels like it was not their choice. They've been told to stay away.
Very interesting. I mean, it's an interesting possibility, but again, I always hope that nobody is told to stay away from church, even if, yes, Andrew is problematic for the family. It's church. It should be considered something that's sacred and beyond all these sort of news events, in my personal opinion.
Very well put, Brittany.
And sadly, many believe he doesn't even realize how much he's being used. The reaction online: brutal. Social media users are calling the Sussexes a fading soap opera, and saying the only thing more scripted than their Netflix show is their public appearances. Has the public finally seen through the facade? Is Harry just a tool in Meghan's media machine, or is he complicit in the manipulation? In the end, what was once seen as a love story is now viewed by many as a brand strategy. If Meghan truly believes she can save her failing projects by parading Harry around like a loyal fox, she may be grossly underestimating the public's patience and intelligence. Because the more obvious the stunt, the harder it becomes to believe anything is real.